Welcome to live storm tracking with Jason Nappi Weather, and here is the storm snowing right now in the Poconos, northeastern Pennsylvania, back towards northwestern part of New Jersey. In Philadelphia, you're not quite into snow yet outside there, Trenton, but you're going to be. That storm, because of the cold air pouring down from the north here, and also the heavy snow bands, heavy snow pulling that cold air down from the north here, and pulling it down to the ground surface. So because of that, you get cold air, it cools the atmosphere, it's going to cool the ground off, and you're going to get accumulation in Philadelphia. And also right now, you see that line, that rain snow line up in northwestern part of New Jersey, back in the Poconos, northeastern PA. But yeah, cold air is coming, so it's going to get chilly, and I recommend snow removal to be very, very fast, because that's going to turn over to an icing situation from all the way from Pennsylvania up to Maine. It is going to go from snow, heavy snow, over to ice. Not ice falling from the sky, but just moving ice, right? It's very difficult to move snow when it compacts and freezes to the ground, and that is going to be happening. But the reason why this is not a snowstorm yet in a place like Philadelphia is because of the temperature at the ground level here. So I'll go ahead and show you that. See here on the surface analysis, we've got 40s popping up, upper 30s outside there, Newark and New Jersey, 40s in western western Massachusetts, and in Connecticut, Rhode Island. But eventually, behind this front, you're going to see this cold air come down from the north here, and that is going to change things over to all snow. So even in southern New England, where it's going to start off as a bit of rain, it is going to change over to snow tonight. So I promise you that will be happening. Let's take a look at the National Weather Service. Winter storm warnings are up for a good chunk of the East Coast back towards West Virginia. And that obviously courtesy of this winter storm that's coming through. And this storm is going to mean business here. But there are the winter storm warnings and advisories all the way up here. And it's going to continue to get, I think this is about it for the winter weather advisories and the winter storm warnings until we get to Louisiana. That's where there's another storm coming in about 24 to 48 hours. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, here are the winter storm warnings that are up from West Virginia mountains, Appalachian mountains, obviously back up towards southern Maine, southern coast, mid coast, and down east here. So let me get rid of this, and I will show you what I mean by the winter storm that's coming in. So here it is on the latest high resolution model, looking at things. Starting off in a place like you see here, in New Jersey, in PA and Philadelphia, moving up towards Massachusetts, and eventually into New England. So you see that snow coming up into Maine. That low is just enough off the coast there and goes right over Nova Scotia for it to be a snowstorm. But then I'm going to push things out a bit and show you what's going to happen. Now, once the cold air is in place, you've got not just a deep south snowstorm, you've got a Gulf Coast snowstorm, which is extremely rare. But the cold air is now firmly in place. You've got a high pressure center right there over Missouri. And here it is, cold air pouring in. You've got moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. And that's a bona fide snowstorm right around Houston on the edge of mixing back towards South Louisiana. Not North Louisiana, South Louisiana. So Lafayette, back to Lake Charles, and in New Orleans, getting snow. Right now in the 3 to 6 inch range. Start off as a mix, and then it'll change over to all snow. And that's going to be happening in about 24 to 48 hours, as that you see that here on the computer model. And that storm kind of goes along the Gulf Coast and into the southeast. But then it's going to go offshore. It's not going to come up the coast of Maine. So for tonight's storm in the northeast, where the ensemble look at things here on the short range shows what's happening, where the heaviest snow, because of that slightly offshore track, the 3 to 6 inch range, north shore of Boston, back towards down east Maine, that's where you've got that heavier band of snow, and that's where the mesoscale banding is going to happen. So the storm is going to throw bands and bands of heavy snow our way in here in Maine tonight. So you see that there. Winter storm warnings are up. But also, let's look at the cold air, right? You want to see cold air. I don't know who wants to see cold air, but talking about cold air, okay, this is 31 New York City, 47 Charlotte here, And then let me put this into motion so you can see just how cold it is going to get in these places. And I do mean about as cold as it gets in winter for especially places, in the south that don't typically see temperatures this cold. But look at this: 3 in New York City, 13 in Charlotte, 17 in Houston. So you see that high pressure coming in, the polar vortex comes in. So that's about as cold as it gets. If I back things up a second to about the coldest time, and I show you over here in the Northeast, this is where the real cold stuff is, up in Canada, okay? This is not, by the way, anything except for what you can expect here for the dead of winter here. So these are temperatures. This is the wind chill, by the way. Wind chill is the apparent temperature coming through Burlington, Portland, Bangor, and then here up in the county, going sub-zero, 10 below, and then in western Maine, up in the Carrabassett Valley, you're going to be 10, 20, make a run for 30 degrees below zero. So real deal cold is definitely coming. So look at the storm now in more detail. The onset time of the precip in southern Maine is 6, 7 o'clock tonight. Right now it's around 4 o'clock while I'm recording this. And then it's going to end by 7 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's over western Maine, 7 o'clock in the morning, up towards Jackman. And then we're going to take a look now at the fluff factor, or the snow liquid ratio. And it'll be a bit kind of heavy on the wetter side, especially mid-coast and southern coast to start off. But then in the overnight, when that cold air comes down from the north, it is going to change over to be a little bit lighter and fluffier. You're starting off with the snow tonight around 10 o'clock down east. And then in the county, the last flakes are going to fly around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it starts off a little bit wetter, and then it goes lighter and fluffier, because what you're seeing here is that cold air coming down from the north here. So you're on the lighter and the fluffier side towards the second, the third, kind of like the third, call it the third period, right? And the storm, or the third intermission. When the storm is wrapping up, call it the fourth quarter of the football game. That's when that storm is going to be wrapping up, and you're going to start to see things begin to change over to a lighter, fluffier snow, but it's going to be so cold by then. And really, this is a mostly courtesy of the track of the storm and the speed here. So you've got good forward speed with the storm. You've also got the track of the storm, which is clearly offshore here. There's a cluster of lows, so you're going to have one low that's going to track right off the coast of Cape Cod by, we'll call it about 25, 50 miles or so. And that's just enough to bring the cold air down from the north and to make a bona fide storm that's 100% snow at the coastline and not any mixing. So here's my snowfall map that I made, which, by the way, is colorblind friendly. And if you're colorblind sensitive or whatever spectrum you're having a tough time looking at, should be good enough for everybody. So I've got 8 to 12 down east, where those mesoscale bands come in, and then 4 to 8, just, I'll call it central highlands, not south of the Allagash, south of North Woods, central Maine, mid coast, southern coast. That's where I've got that 4 to 8 inch stripe. And then if you go out to the western mountains, the Boundary Plateau, up in North Woods, you're in that kind of 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inch range, because you're just not close enough to the center. For Boston, it is mostly, I'll back up a second here. For Boston, you can see, you see Boston is in that kind of 6 to 9 inch range. I'll move this over a second. 6 to 9 inch Boston, South Shore more like 3 to 6, and 1 to 3 out towards the Capes here. So thank you so much for watching. Jason Nappi Weather, nappicast.com. Follow along for free. Subscribe, and if you could be a sponsor, reach out if you'd like to be a sponsor. Have a great rest of your day and night, and I'll talk to you soon.